The music industry will never be the same because of the unforgettable impact that Roy Orbison had with his heartbreaking voice and trademark black spectacles. Fans and music historians alike have been captivated by his personal story, which is characterized by both victory and tragedy. Alex Orbison, the youngest son of Roy Orbison, has now spoken up about something that has been circulating in the music industry's inner circles for quite some time, nearly 3 decades after Roy's tragic death. A love of music that would influence Roy Orbison's whole life and career was kindled in his formative years. In the rural Texas hamlet of Vernon, Roy's musical father and uncle would play guitar and sing harmony during Roy's formative years. At a young age, Roy's musical aspirations were nurtured by this exposure to the potency of melody and harmony. The more Roy matured, the more he loved performing. A watershed event occurred on his 6th birthday when, contrary to his wishes, his father presented him with a guitar instead of the harmonica. This blessing paved the way for Roy to pursue a career in music by revealing his latent abilities. Roy picked up the instrument fast with the help of his dad and uncles, and he spent many late hours perfecting his technique with the adults. When Roy founded the Wink Westerners, his first band, when he was 13 years old, it was a huge deal for his musical career. After winning a contest that gave Roy his own radio program, this band of teenage musicians started to gain fame in the area via their performances on local radio stations. Undoubtedly, Roy's developing self-assurance and charisma on stage were aided by his early experiences as bandleader and frequent performer. Over the years, Roy's musical tastes broadened. After relocating to Wink, Texas with his family, he finished high school and kept honing his skills. As they grew and changed, the Wink Westerners became known as the Teen Kings. Local television stations started featuring Roy and his band on weekly broadcasts, once their talents as singers and guitarists became more apparent. At this period, Roy got the chance to open for Johnny Cash, a legend in the country music industry. The young musician Roy's career took a dramatic change after this fortuitous meeting with Cash, who saw his potential and urged him to follow his passion. Roy put his ambitions for songwriting and recording into motion after receiving Cash's counsel and committing himself completely to his job. Roy continued his musical adventure after finishing high school and went on to study geology and history at university, all the while keeping up with his band performances. While Roy was building his solo career, the Teen Kings maintained their popularity and even recorded a few songs that hinted at Roy's signature sound. Yet Roy's career was really launched when he made a fateful phone call to Sun Records in Memphis. Even though Roy was turned down at first, the famed producer Sam Phillips took notice of his skill and perseverance in the end. Roy and the Teen Kings went to Memphis to record a number of songs, including the smash tune Ooby Dooby, which launched Roy's career to prominence. The distinctive sound of Roy Orbison's voice and songs started to mesmerize listeners nationwide as his career took off. Though it was short, his time with Sun Records helped begin his career and expose him to a larger audience. His signing with Monument Records in the early 60s, nevertheless, was the catalyst that finally catapulted him to fame. A fresh layer of complexity and emotional resonance was added to Roy's music by producer Fred Foster. He established a unique sound with his haunting voice, beautiful orchestral arrangements, and moving words. Hits such as Only the Lonely, Crying, and In Dreams demonstrated Roy's remarkable versatility and talent for expressing nuanced feelings via his music. As his star began to rise, Roy began performing with other legendary musicians. While on tour with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, he became acquainted with the band members and gained their admiration. Because of his groundbreaking composition and exceptional vocal skills, he gained the reputation as a singer's singer and had an indisputable effect on the music business. There were highs and lows in Roy's career during the 60s and 70s, when the music business was changing. Even though his economic success was dwindling, he kept recording and touring. Still, he had an enduring impact on the music industry. Subsequent generations of performers paid tribute to him by covering his songs. A combination of his music's use in blockbuster films like Blue Velvet and the acclaim he got from younger musicians who looked up to him as an inspiration helped revive Roy's career in the 1980s. Members of the younger generation of artists such as K.D. Lang, Bruce Springsteen, and Elvis Costello were among his collaborators. Lang is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee from 1987. During this time, Roy Orbison's career reached new heights with the filming of the television special Roy Orbison and Friends: A Black and White Night. The special, which included performances by a who's who of musical greats, displayed the lasting impact of Roy's music and the esteem he held in the industry. Thrills of triumph and crushing sorrow were part of Roy's lifelong journey, as were the highs and lows of love. Still, to those who knew him, he was an inspiration and a light in the darkness. Claudette Frady and Barbara Jacobs were the two loves of Roy's life. Roy was captivated by Claudette, his first wife and the muse for his legendary song "Oh, Pretty Woman," from the time they first met in 1955. Roy, Dwayne, Wesley, and Anthony were born into a hasty marriage to a woman whose intense and consuming love had them engaged in a passionate affair. But there were difficulties in their relationship as well. Claudette felt the effects of Roy's frequent absences from home due to his busy profession. She found solace in another person at a time of vulnerability, and as a result, their marriage collapsed due to her adultery. Roy and Claudette's love for one another persisted through the anguish of their 1964 divorce. They reconciled, remarried in 1965, and vowed to forge an even more solid union in the future. Their budding relationship was tragically ended in 1966 by a fatal motorbike accident. Claudette, who was just as enthusiastic about motorbikes as Roy, perished at the scene of the accident when a pickup vehicle crushed her. Roy was distraught and had a hard time finding comfort in his music after the tragedy. As a means of expressing his profound sorrow, he channeled his feelings into evocative ballads. In 1968, tragedy struck once again, as if the world hadn't already handed Roy enough sorrow. Tragically, Roy's two oldest boys, Anthony and Roy, were killed in a house fire in Hendersonville, Tennessee, while he was playing in Birmingham. No one ever found out what started the fire, but Roy endured an enormous emotional hit. His children's deaths weighed heavily on him, and he felt like he was going to die from the anguish. The love and support of his loved ones gave Roy the courage to keep going, even when he was down and out. Roy met German music producer Barbara Jacobs, who was in her early teens when they met, and they fell in love again when he was grieving. They wed in 1969 despite the obvious age gap between them. Their love was palpable. They were joined in the joy of parenthood by two further boys, Alexander and Roy Kelton. As Roy weathered the storm of his life, Barbara became his rock. Despite his career's highs and lows, his ongoing grief over earlier losses, and the difficulties of being a public figure parent, she never left his side. While Roy's professional life took a nosedive in the 1970s, his personal life gave him strength and solace. Along with Barbara's unfaltering love and support, they triumphed over the music industry's ups and downs. As Roy's boys matured into young men, he treasured the moments they spent with him, during which he instilled in them the importance of love, persistence, and hard work. The legacy of Roy Orbison has been tainted by controversy, despite its undeniable legendary status. His name has been at the focus of several fascinating arguments, from surprising disagreements in the world of philately to legal challenges over his intellectual property. The late singer was a major figure in both. A notable controversy surrounding Roy Orbison's legacy concerns a legal dispute between Hologram USA Entertainment, Inc., a firm that specializes in creating holograms of deceased celebrities for live performances, and Roy's Boys LLC, a company that was founded by Roy's sons to manage his estate and musical catalog. The dispute originated from a 2015 deal whereby Hologram USA was supposed to create a holographic replica of Roy Orbison for a run of live performances. But because the firm allegedly didn't perform as promised, Roy's Boys ended the deal and started looking for a new holographic project collaborator. A New York courtroom fight ensued as Roy's boys sought a declaration that their contract with Hologram USA was null and invalid, and an injunction prohibiting the firm from making use of any of Roy Orbison's trademarks or intellectual property. The case brought to light the difficulties of dealing with the legacy of a dead artist in the modern digital era, when tools like holograms may make it hard to tell the difference between paying respect and capitalizing on their work. Roy Orbison's name also became embroiled in what seemed to be a different domain, an issue with philately. The USPS is aiming to appeal to a younger demographic of collectors by releasing a series of stamps commemorating legendary performers like Roy Orbison. But traditionalist philatelists were outraged because they thought the USPS was going against its own rules by including non-American artists like John Lennon on American stamps. Some may see the debate over the USPS's choice to include music luminaries Roy Orbison and others on stamps as insignificant. Yet it serves to highlight the lasting influence these musicians have had on American society. The United States Postal Service unintentionally sparked a discussion over how popular culture shapes national identity and how we choose to remember and commemorate our cultural heroes by taking traditional stamp design to new heights. All these scandals surrounding Roy Orbison's legacy show how complicated the legal, cultural, and technical challenges may be, even if they appear unrelated to the music that made him famous. In the face of these obstacles, Roy's kids must adjust to a memorial and entertainment scene that is always shifting, all the while trying to honor their father's legacy. Roy Orbison's reputation is untarnished, even in the face of the odd dispute. Roy Orbison will remain one of the most adored and significant musicians of all time, regardless of the controversy that may occur, as long as subsequent generations learn to appreciate the profound depth of his songs and the eerie beauty of his voice. Roy Orbison's impact as a musical legend goes far beyond his own stellar career. His songwriting prowess and dedication have been carried on to subsequent generations by his offspring, who have all made their own names for themselves in the business. Roy Orbison's impact and the family relationship he nurtured are evident in the Orbisons' profound musical connection. The firstborn of Roy Orbison Sr. and Jr. S. children has continued in the family musical tradition as a singer-songwriter. Several CDs have been published by Roy Jr., who has a voice that mimics his father's eerie singing and a talent for writing moving lyrics. While paying homage to his father's work, he also manages to display his own unique style and creative vision. Among Roy's gifted children, Wesley Orbison stands out as a prominent figure in the music business, having established himself as a record producer. Thanks to his excellent taste in music and extensive knowledge of the recording industry, Wesley has collaborated with many famous musicians and helped form the sound of many successful albums. The hard drive and innate musical talent he received from his dad contributed to his success in the background. The youngest of Roy Orbison's sons, Alex, has followed a distinct but no less influential career trajectory in the music business. Alex has dedicated his life to his profession as a music entrepreneur, which includes promoting and preserving his father's legacy and helping other musicians achieve their full potential. Thanks to his economic savvy and dedication to music, he has become a revered figure in the industry, and his efforts will guarantee that Roy's music will keep inspiring generations to come. A formidable musical dynasty has been created by Roy's progeny, who all contribute distinctive skills and viewpoints. They have a unique link that shines through in the way they encourage and uplift one another, a friendship that was born out of their mutual passion of music and their determination to respect their father's legacy. Alex Orbison, the youngest son of the famous musician Roy Orbison, writes a moving remembrance of his dad, in which he describes the guy with the signature black spectacles in great detail. Alex remembers a carefree childhood filled with wonder and innocence, when his father's renown was ever present, but never surpassed his love and commitment to his family. The three brothers, Alex, Roy Jr., and Wesley, grew up in the limelight as the sons of a legendary musician. As tour buses would wait in line outside their Nashville house, the children could see for themselves how devoted fans were to their father, whose voice had won over millions. Roy Orbison, nevertheless, never lost his modesty or groundedness in the face of the incessant scrutiny. He prioritized his family above everything else. The kindness and remarkable aptitude his father had to relate to people of various backgrounds are qualities that Alex recalls with great affection. No matter whether he was chatting with a fellow artist or a random fan on the street, Roy always managed to put everyone at ease, discover something in common, and carry on deep talks. Everyone he met was profoundly affected by his character traits of genuine friendliness and interest in them. Roy Orbison was an accomplished musician whose mesmerizing voice and profound emotions enchanted listeners. Alex still remembers the thrill and wonder he had each time he saw his dad perform. He could never believe his dad could reach such lofty notes with such ease. A spellbound realm of emotion, passion, and the shared human experience was his father's musical creation. And even as his son, Alex found himself engrossed in it. Roy Orbison valued the time he spent with his family and made sure to prioritize them despite the pressures of his work. Reminiscing about their carefree days in California, Alex describes how his dad would pretend to be someone else: a straw sun hat, a Hawaiian shirt, and some clear glasses, so he could fit in among the visitors and pretend everything was normal. These priceless moments demonstrated Roy's want to be there for his kids, to make memories that would last a lifetime, even after he passed away. Roy Orbison tragically passed away at the age of 52. Just as he was having a career revival and finding fresh success with the supergroup the Traveling Wilburys. In the wake of his father's unexpected death, which sent shockwaves across the music industry and beyond, Alex recalls feeling a mixture of shock and disbelief. The overwhelming support and affection from fans and professional artists provided Alex and his family with some relief from their deep sadness. It was a testament to the lasting impact that Roy Orbison had on the globe. As a touching homage to his father, Alex Orbison has stepped up to the plate to honor and carry on his legacy. To ensure that their legendary father's music and legacy inspire future generations, Alex and his brothers Roy Jr. and Wesley have set out on a mission to preserve their father's undiscovered tales and treasured memories. A new book, The Authorized Roy Orbison, is the driving force behind this initiative. It is a labor of love that seeks to provide a thorough and personal portrayal of the man behind the dark spectacles. This was a lifelong goal of Roy Orbison's that his wife Barbara carried on in his honor in the years after his tragic death. Roy had started the project before he did. Together with writer Jeff Slate and researcher Marcel Riesco, the Orbison brothers have pieced together their father's life and career via the interweaving of their own tales. The motivation to create the book came from a need to correct the record and debunk the misconceptions that had grown up around it. Prior biographies of their father had often presented an inaccurate or partial image due to the heavy reliance on the memories and views of others, something Alex and his brothers were well aware of. They hoped that by publishing The Authorized Roy Orbison, they might restore Roy Orbison's legacy and tell the world about the real Roy Orbison, a doting husband and father who had an impact on music of all kinds and generations. This book gives Roy Orbison fans a window into Roy's private life by including never-before-seen family images and personal stories. Pictures and tales from his private life, including time spent with his kids and behind-the-scenes interactions with other music greats like George Harrison and Elvis Presley, show that he was just as interesting when he wasn't performing. As a memorial to the unforgettable impact their father had on their lives and the lives of many others, the Orbison brothers' love and affection for him are evident throughout the book. The book isn't the only thing that Alex Orbison has done to help his father's music reach new listeners. He's also been instrumental in groundbreaking projects like A Love So Beautiful, Roy Orbison with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. This album, a joint venture between Roy's Boys and Sony Music's Legacy Recordings, reimagines Roy's classic songs by combining his haunting vocals with the lush orchestration of the Royal Philharmonic. As a consequence, we have a breathtaking homage to Orbison's songs that proves his voice and talent have stood the test of time. The impact of Roy Orbison's music on people's life, regardless of age, culture, or musical preference, is something that Alex finds profound as he considers his father's legacy. Roy Orbison's fan base is as varied as it is long-lived, spanning from punk rockers of the 70s to rockabilly rebels of the 50s, from college ladies smitten with "Oh, Pretty Woman" to longtime devotees. Carrying out the solemn task of paying tribute to his father is an obligation that Alex Orbison embraces with deep affection and respect. He and his brothers have worked tirelessly on several initiatives, including the book, the music, and the innumerable others, all with the goal of preserving Roy Orbison's legacy for future generations. Ultimately, it's a heartfelt homage to a father whose legacy lives on via his music and presence, which the son has worked tirelessly to create.